It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin'minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchi, and thanks a lot for joining us on a weekend of love. Valentine's Day was celebrated on Friday for those of you who celebrate. A lot of us like to say every day is Valentine's Day, but I think it's a beautiful thing that at least one day is kept to celebrate the acts of love, and I hope you're all ready for work tomorrow because Monday is already at hand. The past week has been quite eventful. So much has gone on around the country, whether you're talking about the demolition of a building in Enugu, which was quite a sight on social media during the week, to the Chief of Defense Staff being denied a visa to Canada, which sort of kicked off a firestorm of sorts between both countries. We saw an incident of a student and a lecturer in the Goddy-Mbakwe University, Oka. There was assault involved. We're hearing that the student has been expelled. There was also the allegations by a U.S. Senator about the USAID funding Boko Haram. The ex-Binance staff who was imprisoned in Nigeria has also come up with so much has just happened this week, and we're going to try and cover as much ground as we can on the show today. I'm joined here now by Precious Omorige, who's a lawyer. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I was going to start with Enugu demolition, but let's keep that because that's quite heavy. I want to go to UNIZIK now because that was a lot of people saw that happen. You know, we saw the lecturer tap her on the shoulder. Some say it's a tap, some say it was a push. Nobody seems to know exactly. I mean, we're not there. Whatever side of the divide you are on, the resultant act by the student has now led to her being expelled from what we hear. What did you think of the situation and how it played out?
Honestly, I felt that situation was very unavoidable. I felt she reacted overly, but at the same time, you know, I kind of understand how the lecturer reacted. It was something that he couldn't, like, you know, like it was out of the moment. He basically acted with a student disrespecting him in public and on record, like in a video. So I would also say that from the university I attended, I went to University of Benin, things like that would never happen in my time. Like you would never talk to a lecturer back or you know, disrespect a lecturer. In my time, when you see a lecturer coming, you behave and you make sure everything is like in one accord, right? But then I feel like this age and time, we have a different ethics. Everybody feels like they're grown or they're woke. So people feel like they can act however they want in public, but you know.
Yeah, I think it kicked off the conversation around, you know, the fact that social media is a part of daily life now. These are things that you can't necessarily avoid. People are going to always record. Phones are a part of our lives now, especially for people in that age category. So maybe to play devil's advocate a bit here, you know, he tapped her, she said something which he heard and allegedly came back and tried to grab the phone to delete the video. Do you see that as a reason? Because if someone's trying to take your phone forcefully, I'm not saying, I'm not taking sides here, but just playing devil's advocate, you know. If someone tries to take your phone forcefully, you know, says delete that video, what does that, I mean, in an age like this where everybody's being recorded, you know, do you not expect to be recorded? At what point do you draw the line between, okay, the public is you know, fodder for anything?
I totally understand where you're coming from, but Ebuka, we also need to understand that people have the right to public and private space. If you are in a public gathering, I don't expect you to make videos of me, especially when it's outside. If it was in his office, I would say, okay, you know what, he probably should, you know, say, don't do that. But we're in a public space, and this person says, I don't want to be recorded, especially in that manner where she already made a statement saying, who does this one think he is, or is even a lecturer, something like that. So that's also disrespectful to his image. And he has the right to say delete the video. But the dragging of phone is where I feel like it's going to divide a lot of people that are going to listen to me right now. You know, some people will say, oh, he's a lecturer, he has the right to like caution her. But at the end of the day, you are not her father. If you feel like she recorded a video, you are a lecturer, you can take it up with a disciplinary committee without being violent or holding her in public. She's a woman. If it was a guy, it's different. But she's a woman, she has reproductive systems that could be exposed at any point in time. So I feel it could be handled properly.
We hear now that she's been expelled. Some people thought that was a bit extreme, you know, suspend her, give her, you know, and there's also alleged conversations around the fact that her dad might even be a lecturer in the school. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. But, you know, like, she's lost her place in school because of this incident. Do you think that was appropriate? A lot of people actually believe it's appropriate.
I believe it's appropriate.
But there are people who think it was a little too extreme.
No, I think it was appropriate because like you said, in this age and time, social media is valued high above education. Everybody feels like I need to make a video. If I explode on the internet, I would probably not need to be in school. But then, like I said, growing up and going to schools like University of Benin and federal universities, you must hold your lecturers in high esteem. And, you know, back then they always used to say, if you want to graduate, don't look for any lecturer's trouble. I mean, that was the slang we grew up knowing. Okay. So why is it now everybody feels like you're too woke to be scolded by a lecturer?
Very well said. Let's move on now to the Enugu demolition. I think we're joined now virtually by the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure in Enugu State, Engineer Gerald Otiji. How are you doing, sir, if you can hear me?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot for joining us. I just want to go straight into it because a lot of us saw the video on social media and it's currently on the screen now where we saw, you know, the building being demolished and we saw human beings sliding out of a gaping hole in the building. And it shocked everybody. I mean, you don't even need to be from Enugu State or, you know, it was just a very shocking video. And I think everybody's question is, how do these people start a demolition without even just going in to check who's in there, if there are human beings there? I mean, we saw a statement saying, oh, the laws of Enugu State says if something illegal is happening anywhere, you have a right to demolish. But doesn't human life supersede that?
Yeah, this is actually one-sided part of the story. The actual story is that in the past 6 months, and a warning was issued, evacuation demolition warning were issued to the participants and the owners or the residents of those structures. The governor commissioned that stretch of road is a 44.5 kilometer dual carriage road connecting Enugu City, capital city, to Nsukka, another urban area, joining us between Enugu and North Central. And then in the Enugu capital city bound is a part of the city. We have all the details of the landlords and the building owners and the occupants of those buildings. 6 months ago, the surveyors went with the road alignment, went room by room, door to door, documented them and told them the extent where the road corridor was going to be at. And everybody knows about it. And they were issued statutorily 21 days notice. But 6 months later...
So very sorry to cut you in there. I think we all know this part of the story. We're talking about the day of the incident. If your tractors get to a location, you go into the building and see if anybody is in there. I would believe that's the right thing to do. It's easier to forcefully remove people than to put them in a situation where they might literally die. I'm sure you would agree with that. So forceful eviction not done in the moment before this demolition happened?
So you asked me a question. I'm building a background story for you to get you up to speed to the question you asked. Now, 2 weeks ago was a final warning and final notice to everybody. Then last week, we gave 2 weeks that the next 48-hour demolition was going to start. This is a 14-kilometer demolition area. And then this particular building you're seeing is within the third kilometer 2, between kilometer 2 and kilometer 3. Demolition was coming. There are scavengers. We've been fighting, we even passed a law about scavengers. We had the same incident when there was demolition at the Holy Ghost, if you were tracking the news. There, people will go in to scavenge for rods, for materials. The security men we had over there were in their tens of numbers. And the people were going to scramble for everything they could get. And these people, we've been arresting a handful of them. Those 2 people you saw sliding down were people going inside those buildings because it was when demolition started that they could get access into any part of the building. They were, I wish you could see the normal live video of the entire stretch. Even while the bulldozers are clearing the debris so that people don't get hurt, majority of the people are still trying to grab things out of it. Look at the crowd.
The point you're making, I get the point you're making, and I think I can give you credit for the fact that, you tried for months and weeks to get people out of the building. And we're still talking about the day it happened. And I don't know if I'm reading you right, but you're almost giving an impression that scavengers' lives maybe are not that important, right? Because if anybody else was there, if a commissioner was in that building, if a security operative was in that building, if the son of a politician was in that building, this tractor would not start, regardless of who, of whatever the orders are. Scavengers are Nigerians. Scavengers are probably Enugu citizens. Why do they not matter as much, regardless of what they were doing in the building? I think it's everybody's question. Because death could have happened.
That's a wrong notion. The security men went into the building and came down and started demolition. And if you notice the way the demolition was going on, you don't collapse the entire building at once. You start from one side. All these people will be going inside. What we are now trying to do from the experience we got here is that we will take them one story, one building at a time. But the trap of that area is a major corridor. If you do it one at a time, then we have to close down that every other person, if you know this road, we go through the 9th mile corner. This is the only road that connects Nsukka area to Enugu on a star way. So when you start demolition, the moment there's an opening, many people troop in to grab rods, grab things that they could get.
That is on you. That is on the state government to prevent that from happening. I mean, I think you have it. These citizens should not be able to overwhelm, whatever plans you have with security to stop that from happening. So that's still an indictment, I believe, on the state government to not have prevented that. I mean, I'm watching this. The decking of the first floor is already slipped. The building could have come down. The other window has an AC there, which means people are still probably living there. I don't know. So it's a bit murky. Is anybody going to be held responsible for this? I guess is my question.
Like I said, if you allow me to answer your question, sir, we keep on, as they're bringing, if you have 1,000 people going into a live demolition, maybe we will increase making sure either tear gassing people not to go in. It is like when people are rushing into a stadium, you cannot put straps on every finger or every arm. We tried, but on this particular incident, where only 2 people were caught and it was made viral, it's not the true picture, sir. What if you can go with us? It is still an ongoing demolition because, like I said, it's a 14-kilometer. The first 1-2 kilometers between the 2 and the 3, where this particular building is, when they see that there's something for people to scavenge from, they concentrate there. We learn from the experience of where a normal person will see a live demolition and is going inside there to be able to grab something to come out, be it a glass, a piece of aluminum window, or a door, or the outer part of an air-conditioned structure. If you look at this particular building, the windows are open. Some people are going in while the debris are down to take part of the windows. You keep on chasing them. Look at the person who slided down there. The door downstairs is open, but the security men are there. That's why he chose to use slide down through this opening. This opening, no normal person who lives in that building will slide down through that opening. He will go down through.
Just the final question, I just want to hear you clearly. Are you saying nobody's responsible for anything here? Everything was done above board, is your point?
Well, it is a government responsibility. Like I said, I'm only addressing the
for what happened.
It is our responsibility. We have already had a meeting with the Commissioner of Police and other law enforcement agencies to send more people in this particular stretch. Then we will concentrate building by building, and then we'll be controlling the traffic. Either there will be movement of goods and people commuting on the normal road. This particular road is the road we want to expand. So the traffic is still ongoing.
Okay.
While we are trying to demolish the building to clear.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We've been speaking with the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure in Enugu State, Engineer Gerald Otiji. Thanks for your points there. Precious, you did hear him. What's your reaction to his, defense of the situation?
My reaction is this is Nigeria. And it's really sad that somebody that works in the government would actually say this on air about a demolition that would have cost people their lives. Now, the only thing I probably got from his entire statement was his last statement about, speaking with the Inspector General and making measures to make sure that people are not in the buildings that are going to be demolished. That should have been his first statement. If you are going to do a demolition, there are definitely different steps that are going to be taken. One is the demolition order. The next is notice to the person that you're going to demolish it. And then there's also an adequate time where they can appeal and ask for different ways if this can be avoided. Yeah. After that, there's the demolition, which there has to be an evacuation. How are you evacuating and saying you have security men on ground and people are inside? Yeah. Who wants to be in a building that's going to collapse? It doesn't really make any sense. Yeah. So if you know people are inside, why don't you beckon on the Commissioner of Police or, like you said, call security agencies to get these people out, and even if you want to, arrest them for being in that place at that time because there is an order, but not demolishing the actual building and saying, from what he's explained, is basically like, we're about to destroy the building. If you're inside, come out. If you don't want to come out, you're on your own, which doesn't make any sense. Yeah. The reason why these demolitions are happening is to make Nigeria a better place for the citizens. If the citizens are dying, then what's the point of doing it in the first place? Yeah.
From what he said, it looks like they followed everything pretty much to the letter, from 6 months, all the notices and all of that, and ruined everything in the last moment. And like you said, the point I think everybody gets from that is security could have been better at the time. Yes. And then humanity, just a regard for, okay, there are people still in here. The building could literally have come down because some pillars were already looking like they had been hit, and then it could have been worse, and we're just grateful that things...
Also, there's a demolition happening and people are literally standing and watching. Yeah. That is not even safe.
Yes, I hope lessons are learned from this, and I really hope someone is held responsible for this, because the one thing we don't have in Nigeria is consequences for actions, and we need to see more of that. Let's move on now from Enugu very quickly and talk about the Binance situation. That was a very interesting one. We did have the Binance. There were two of them who were held in Nigeria at the time. One of them escaped, although I can't remember the story about it, and the second one went through some processes, and I think is back in the States and has kicked up a firestorm, put out a couple of tweets during the week and named names, members of the House of Assembly, including the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, indicting them basically on trying to collect bribes and all of that. And
did you hear the amount?
Yes, the amounts were crazy. Allegations about, them trying to do this for future political ambitions, and how President Biden at the time refused to sit with Mr. President Tinubu at the United Nations General Assembly because of the consequences of that situation. So the implications were quite a bit, isn't it? What did you think of? Do you think this will be acted on? Because it's not the first time we're hearing names mentioned in situations like this.
I honestly believe that the names that have been mentioned must be investigated. Not because we believe the said allegations, but because we need to show the world that Nigeria is not corrupt. Yes. This is an international company and establishment. Regardless of the fact that they're facing legal suits everywhere around the world, this is Nigeria, and they had the same money laundering allegations brought up here. And the amount in question was about $35 million. The bribe they asked for was $150 million. I need that to sink in. And, we've always had this public image of being corrupt. And now, imagine a company coming to say, yes, they asked me for a bribe of $150 million. With names. And he's not afraid to name. For you to name people, it means you are not afraid of the consequences. Yeah. So I feel like those people need to be investigated to show accountability, like you said. If there's one thing that we need to do moving forward as Nigerians, is to show accountability and show the world that we are not what they think we are. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Precious Omorege, lawyer, and of course, once again, the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure in Lagos, Engineer Gerald Otiji, for joining us. We're going to take a break and be right back.